Nudity on screen, intimacy on screen, what has that been like for you in that process? And like, have you had any mental hurdles to like get over with that?
Yeah, my family has always been like my mom's a huge hippie. In other words, they've always been super supportive with anything I want to do. Actually, the first movie I did, I was topless. And
Me too.
really?
But my mom is the same, Skyler. My mom is a hippie. My mom grew up in LA. My mom's like, yeah. My mom was there. Like, she was like, yeah, take your top off. It's fine. And I was like,
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, me too. I remember my dad sitting me down and be like, how do you feel? Like, are you okay? Like, are you okay with this? But so it was always it wasn't something that I felt ashamed about, like coming from that background. I will say now I feel like I don't want to do any nudity unless it has to do with the storyline. Like, I don't want to just be a girl that's tits are just out and she just because we want to sell the movie. I think it's important for me to like make sure it's important. It's in the script for the storyline to move it along and like tell the story. And this role, Gidget, a stripper, like that's a huge part of who she is. She's comfortable with her body. And I think being, like I said before, like so in her headspace, it wasn't really me. Like my thoughts weren't really mine. Also, I mean, there's so many people that make sure you're comfortable on set, that are there, you have a fitting, making sure that you're comfortable in what you're wearing, make sure it fits okay, or if you're topless, like, those are conversations that they have with you. But I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable with nudity and they do it anyway, and it completely shows. Like, the camera picks that up. And if that project wants you bad enough, and you tell your agent, you have a conversation with them and you say, I don't feel comfortable with this. Is there any way they'll compromise to do like a bralette that's like lace and see-through? Something like that you're more comfortable in, because ultimately their goal is to make sure they get the best performance from you.
Right.
So I would say if you're struggling with that, like, have your boundaries, like, know what you feel comfortable with, and have those conversations with your reps. Like, they're there for you and they're not going to judge you if you turn down a role because it has nudity in it.
And now, after taking Mornell Method, which is amazing, she has an intimacy class, which I so love because nobody teaches that.
Yeah.
And we had a great conversation where it's like, okay, so, you let them know you're okay with your left boob, but not your right boob. Or like, you can see like the side of my butt, but not like full frontal. And so is that a conversation that you have after you've said, I'm okay with nudity, but like down the line, when you actually book the job, you say, well, I'm okay with nudity, but like a plant has to cover my nipple, or do you know what I mean? Like where it's kind of smoke and mirrors, and you don't want to be like pinned as like that annoying girl who just took the job and lied and said she'd take her top off, but now she's not doing it,
That's tricky. I mean, I would just say, like, us as actors, like, we have to have the confidence to know that, like, what we are okay with and what we are not, and not care what people think. And I think, like, that's just something you have to decide for yourself. And I mean, I'm always like, do the audition, unless they say in it, like, must be comfortable, and if they aren't, then they cannot audition for this, in like bold letters. I mean, sometimes they're like, has nudity, whatever. I would say do the audition, get in front of casting, and then if you get it, then have that conversation.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
So have you and your boyfriend had to talk about stuff? Like, did you guys have to set boundaries on your relationship with acting, or was he kind of like, do whatever? Or were you like, you can't like have any say, or how does that work?
Yeah, there was definitely, I mean, in this role, with this role in particular, yes, we had to have a conversation. When it started to become more of a reality, I was like, listen, we should talk about this, because this is, I could be naked on Starz. And he was always like, that's your decision. He was always fine with it. I don't know. I'm in such a great relationship right now with such a supportive man. Like, the guy I dated before, not to get into my ex, but he was so awful to me about stuff like that. So when I met my boyfriend and he was just cool with it, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, oh, okay, but what are you not comfortable with, you know? And we also had the conversation because I have a love interest in the show, and that was a big conversation because I have nudity with him, and he's in a few episodes. And my boyfriend and I was like, you know, I need to talk to you about it because do you want me to not tell you? Or do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to say, hey, we're shooting tomorrow and this is the scene. Do you want to read it? Because you have to sit down with I think that you need to sit down with your partner and have these very specific conversations so that arguments don't come out of nowhere, you know? And so we decided he wants to know when I'm shooting it and what exactly it is. And that was that. I mean, he's an actor too, so he understands. He actually just filmed something where he had to kiss another girl, and I get a lot more jealous than he does.
Really?
Yeah. I don't want my boyfriend kissing another girl, but for some reason when I do it, it's okay.
Do you guys feel comfortable watching what you guys did on screen?
That hasn't come up yet, actually.
Because that's something that because my husband's an actor, and like obviously whatever he does in class or wherever, if I'm not there and I don't see it, like it doesn't bother me. But the moment I see him even just like look lovingly at someone else, I'm like,
I don't know. I think I would feel uncomfortable watching it with him. You guys, this show is gonna be crazy. It's gonna be so good.
Do we know if it's being picked up for a second season?
We don't yet. It's been taking a long time to come out. I filmed it last year, but you know, like good things take time.
Filming the actual intimacy scenes is not actually really intimate, right? Because the final product will look like it really is, but what is it like on set?
Yeah, first of all, when you're in a relationship with someone, if they're not an actor, they don't understand. Like, it's not real. Like, there's cameras, there's only 3 walls, sometimes less, with cameras coming in, shooting up over you, shooting behind you. Like, you're not in a real world. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think for me, what helped me was rehearsals. Like, whoever it was that I was in the scene with, like sitting down with them and just having a conversation and getting to know them always made me feel way more comfortable. When my love interest was cast, I was like, can I please meet him right away and just sit down and talk? Because I just want to feel comfortable and get his vibe, you know, because you have to be comfortable in these scenes, you know, and if you're not you have to figure out a way to get through that. Some of them, when I was naked, like, I had to dance like I was actually at a strip club, you know, like, I don't think I was never full nude, but I had like little tiny bikinis on, you know, and you just have to get into that mindset of like that world that you're in, and you're not yourself. In one of the scenes, I had to grab something out of my love interest's pocket, and his jacket was like hanging over the couch, and we were like making out at the same time. And I was thinking about the director wanted me to take the thing out of his pocket, like show it to the camera, take it in my other hand, put it in my bikini. Like, it was a whole thing. And so while we're kissing, I'm like the whole time, I put my arm and I couldn't find the freaking thing I'm supposed to grab. So my arm's like going everywhere trying to find it in every single take. And so my mind was totally somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, it was totally somewhere else. So it's like, people that aren't actors, it's difficult to understand, but I would be like, if you can, like, take them on set, show them what it's really like, because then they'll see it's nothing romantic. There's a new job on set that's an intimacy coordinator who's supposed to make sure that you're comfortable, supposed to make sure that you're, you know what you're doing, you know who you're doing it with, you know. So we had 2 of those on set, and hopefully more sets start to use people like that. But so we had those, and then we had rehearsals, and then we had
are there a lot of people on set?
They would cover all the monitors, so no one else could see except for the director. The people that had to see to do their job would see.
That's great.
But everyone else was not allowed to be in the room. And the only time that you're naked is right when they say, you know, rolling, take off your robe, hand it to someone, you're naked, you're in the scene. They roll the scene, and then right when they say cut, nobody can go in there, because usually when they say cut, a ton of people come in and start giving you notes for the next take. But it's not like that when you're naked. Nobody can go in there until you have your robe on.
It is a physically demanding job. So like, how do you feel like your health and mental health and physical health kind of tied into your job? And also like, how did you stay fit for
Yeah, it was really hard to balance everything by myself. First of all, the night before I booked the job, I was eating fucking pizza. Like, I didn't know I was gonna fly the next day and be on set. When this role came, I was like, Heidi, she immediately popped into my mind because I had seen you everywhere. You started working with a lot of actors. And you just look so fun. And then I called you, I think, like, pretty fast, like 2 days in. I feel like it was like really fast, right? You're so good, especially for actors, like getting in shape. Like, I gave you a time. I was like, I have to be, like, I have a scene. We would coordinate everything to the scenes coming up. So, like, if I had a nude scene, completely nude, I would tell her, and she'd be like, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. Like, and it would always work. She was so awesome and effective. But the biggest struggle for me was, like, eating. Like, and it always has been. But when you're on set and you're filming for, you know, like, some days I would go there at, like, I would get picked up at 8 a.m. and I would get home at 5 a.m. Like, it was long, long days. And I had to remember to eat. And so I had a chef on set that would make me food when I asked, but it was, like, still even hard to just remember to eat or eat enough. Like, I would just eat a gummy snack or something because my scene was about to go and I was nude and I didn't want to, like, eat too much.
You didn't want to be bloated. Yeah, you didn't want to retain any water or anything like that.
And the water situation was really difficult because all of the actresses, we weren't drinking enough water because we wanted our bodies to look good. And then some people on set got majorly dehydrated, including me, because the lighting takes all of the water out of you. And that was difficult. And I also had dance rehearsals for like 4 hours most days. And then if I was shooting a scene, I was dancing for, you know, like 8 hours throughout that scene. But I was in great shape. My body looked fantastic, I must say, thanks to you.
The videos that I got to see just of you privately dancing and stuff, you look amazing. So.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt really good. Also, mental health, like, is so important. Yeah. I mean, always important, but when you're a series regular on set, like, you should try really hard not to be stressed about things, and, like, things will get done. And I was really lucky to have my boyfriend. He drove out with my dogs, packed up all my stuff, came, and he was just there, like, helping me. Wow. He was making my food when I got home. He was taking care of my dogs. He was making sure I was prepared. Like, if I got home and I had to prep for a scene the next day, I would just walk in, sit down, start prepping, and he would bring me my dinner. Like, to have someone like that is so special. And if you don't have a boyfriend, like, my mom also flew out one time too to help me, because you need so much help. You can't be afraid to ask for help, and you have to be in such a great mental state because you're going in, and some day, like, I was nervous every day, first of all. So, like, nerves and balancing that out, and stress and anxiety. And
how did you handle your nerves and your stress and your anxiety? Because that is, like, a whole responsibility almost, right? Like, being a series regular is different than showing up to say your one line, you know?
Yeah. I learned so much from this set, like, with nerves and stuff. You know, it's when you get on a set for 5 months, you realize that no acting class has taught you to act with cameras in your face and do full scenes constantly and be on your marks and do this and do this. And I mean, the closest thing is Sarah. Sarah's really taught me a lot. And I think she really helped me with that because I felt prepared from all of her skills. She would mostly, in her classes, a lot of times, like, talk and just drill into your mind what it was going to be like. And in other acting classes, I would spend freaking, like, 2 months on a scene. That's not real. And so when you get on set for that long, it's kind of like, holy shit. Like you're learning so much every single second.
Yeah.
And so with nerves, I would get more nerves with certain directors because you have a different director every episode. So like every few weeks you have a new director that comes in. And that was really nerve-wracking sometimes because some of them I didn't click with. I mean, you don't click with all of them all the time. Or maybe you do, but you don't work in the same way.
Yeah.
You know, so that was difficult for me. So the way I would handle it is just like making my trailer really like a sanctuary and like where my special place. When I would come, it was to breathe. There was a candle. There was, you know, everything that made me feel comfortable, like in my trailer. That's because I spent a lot of time in there.
Yeah.
And then just making sure you're prepared, rehearsing lines too with other people because a lot of the actors didn't rehearse with me. They didn't like to rehearse. Yeah.
Wow. So you would have to like call a friend or Sarah or somebody and just be like, hey, can you please rehearse this with me?
I had a friend that I would call and just I would pay her actually to just run lines with me.
Wow.
Run lines with me in different ways with the accents because when I first got there, I was shocked that no one wanted to run lines in the trailer when I was getting my makeup done. And then I would get to set and sometimes you just go straight to picture. You don't even
Wow. I'm surprised they didn't even have anybody whose job it was to run lines with you, you know?
Yeah. Well, they had an acting coach on set that she could run lines, but she wasn't there every single day. And it was kind of like, I don't know. I liked having an actress that I could call.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this stuff is so valuable and so cool and so inspiring. So proud of you, Skyler, and I'm excited to see P-Valley.
Yeah.
Right, really quick, like before we wrap up, maybe just say something to someone who maybe does feel like giving up. Like, what would you tell that person?
Well, I know I said this kind of earlier, but I feel like this is really important is like your journey is your journey. I mean, we've all struggled with being jealous of other people or when their time comes because your time is going to come. It will. If you just keep pushing and turning in your auditions and, you know, taking risks, like it'll pay off. I promise it will. You just stick with it. But don't get too caught up into what other people are doing. Just celebrate other people when it's their time. And when it's your time, they'll be there to celebrate when it's your time, you know?
Where can our listeners find you, follow you? Where can they watch the show? Give us that info.
Yeah, so I am on Instagram, Twitter, you know, all that stuff. And my handle is just my name, Skyler Joy, Skyler with the ER. I'm on YouTube, Skyler Joy. And P-Valley should be out in July. This whole coronavirus thing has really pushed everything back and been very confusing. It was supposed to come out in June. Now it's July. But it will be out. And it'll be on Starz. And it'll be premiering one episode per week.
Great. We're going to watch it together. Okay, guys. Yay. Well, I love you so much, Skyler.
I love you too.
Yes, thanks for being on the show. And then until next time, hustle and flow.